The cold communication terminal flickered with harsh light, casting long shadows across Commander J. Park's weary face. Holographic images of destruction rotated slowly, revealing the complete annihilation of the Valoran civilization, a peaceful species that had been humanity's closest interstellar allies for decades. Billions of lives reduced to scattered debris and silent memory. The Galactic Council's attack had been calculated, brutal, and without mercy. No warning. No diplomatic negotiations. Just pure, systematic extinction. J. Park watched the transmission again, his dark eyes reflecting the burning planetary landscapes. Each replay revealed more horrific details: entire cities vaporized, massive spacecraft obliterating planetary infrastructure, and the systematic hunting of Valoran survivors. Captain Hai Kim stood silently beside him, her fingers clenched into tight fists. Her breath was controlled, but her internal rage burned like a nuclear reactor. The Valoran had saved human colonies during the Mars expansion crisis 15 years earlier. They had shared technology, provided medical support, and formed a friendship that transcended traditional interstellar relationships. And now they were gone. The communications center buzzed with controlled chaos. Technical specialists analyzed every fragment of the transmission, trying to understand the Galactic Council's motivations. Why would they destroy an entire civilization that posed no strategic threat? Admiral Sun Lee entered the room, his military uniform crisp and immaculate. He carried a digital report that confirmed the worst possible scenario: the Valoran's destruction was intentional and methodical. Complete elimination, he said quietly, his voice low and controlled. They didn't just attack. They erased an entire civilization from existence. J. Park looked up, his expression transforming from grief to something far more dangerous. Determination mixed with a cold, calculating fury that would become legendary in future galactic historical records. The Valoran had trusted humanity. They had believed in peaceful coexistence and mutual respect. Their scientific achievements were remarkable: they had developed medical technologies that had saved millions of human lives. Their philosophers had written treatises on interstellar cooperation that were studied in diplomatic academies across Earth's universities. And now they were extinct. Dr. Wu Jin, the chief research scientist, entered the communication center with a digital tablet displaying complex mathematical projections. His analysis confirmed what everyone already suspected: the Galactic Council's attack was not random. It was a calculated genocide designed to eliminate a potential future threat. They knew, Dr. Wu said, his voice steady. The Valoran were developing technologies that could have challenged the Council's political control. This wasn't just an attack. This was a preemptive elimination. The room fell silent. Military personnel, researchers, and diplomatic experts exchanged looks that required no words. Something fundamental had changed in that moment. Humanity would respond. Captain Hai Kim was the first to speak. We cannot allow this to go unanswered. Admiral Sun Lee nodded, his hand already moving to activate global military communication networks. Prepare all research divisions. Contact every military installation. We are going to war. Commander J. Park continued watching the holographic images of destruction. The Valoran's final transmission showed remarkable courage even in their final moments. They had documented everything, ensuring that their story would not be forgotten. Their legacy would become humanity's weapon. The communication terminal blinked. Incoming transmissions from global military bases started flooding in. Research facilities that had previously focused on peaceful exploration now began converting their technologies into weapons of unprecedented complexity. Humanity had always been patient. Humanity had always believed in diplomacy. But the Galactic Council had just discovered a fundamental truth about the human species. When pushed, humanity would push back with everything it had. The first stage of retaliation had begun. Not with a loud declaration of war, but with a quiet, cold determination that would soon become the most terrifying force in the known galaxy. The Valoran would be avenged. The global transformation happened faster than anyone could have predicted. Within weeks, every industrial complex on Earth shifted its production lines. Factories that once manufactured consumer electronics now produced advanced weapons systems. Automobile plants converted their assembly lines to create modular spacecraft components. Lieutenant Un Choi walked through the Seoul Technological Research Center, watching teams of scientists work with unprecedented intensity. Young researchers who had previously studied quantum mechanics for academic papers now designed weapons that could tear through spacecraft shields like paper. Dr. Wu Jin's team developed an adaptive artificial intelligence system that could predict and counter alien defense mechanisms. Their computers worked around the clock, processing billions of tactical scenarios every minute. The AI wasn't just a tool anymore, it was a weapon of strategic brilliance. Military recruitment centers saw lines stretching for kilometers. Young men and women who had never considered military service now viewed joining the defense force as a sacred duty. The memory of the Valoran's destruction burned in their hearts, a collective wound that demanded healing through action. Admiral Sung Lee established a new command structure that broke all previous military protocols. Traditional hierarchies were replaced with flexible, adaptive teams that could make split-second decisions. Every soldier was now a potential strategic asset, trained not just in combat, but in advanced technological warfare. Spacecraft development accelerated beyond imagination. The first prototypes emerged within months, vessels that could move through quantum tunnels, with weapon systems that could target multiple dimensions simultaneously. These were not just ships. They were humanity's vengeful instruments. Global resources were redirected. Massive infrastructure projects were suspended. Space exploration budgets were quadrupled. Every research center, every technological institute, every university became part of the war effort. Brilliant minds from around the world collaborated without bureaucratic barriers. Training programs transformed. Soldiers were no longer just taught how to fight, they were educated in xenotechnology, psychological warfare, and advanced computational strategies. Lieutenant Un Choi developed training modules that pushed human potential beyond previous limits. Satellite networks were upgraded. Communication systems became encrypted quantum networks that could not be intercepted or decoded by any known alien technology. Information became a weapon as critical as any physical weapon. Commander Jae Park oversaw the strategic planning. His team developed scenarios that went beyond traditional military thinking. They weren't just preparing for a war, they were designing a complete systematic destruction of the Galactic Council's infrastructure. Global economies shifted. Stock markets adjusted. Countries that had previous conflicts now united under a single purpose. The attack on the Valoran had done something unprecedented, it had made humanity truly unified for the first time in human history. Medical research centers developed advanced regenerative technologies. Wounded soldiers could be healed faster than ever before. Cybernetic enhancements became standard issue for special intervention forces. The human body itself was being redesigned as a weapon. Captain Hai Kim trained the first quantum warfare squadrons. These were not traditional pilots, but hybrid warrior scientists who could adapt and respond to alien technological challenges in milliseconds. Each team member was a walking technological weapon. Psychological preparation was as crucial as technological development. Public communications carefully managed the collective human rage, transforming it from blind anger into focused, strategic determination. The message was clear: humanity would not just respond. They would redefine the meaning of retaliation. Every resource, every human capability was now directed toward a single goal. The Galactic Council had made a fundamental mistake. They had assumed humanity was weak. They had believed that eliminating the Valoran would go unanswered. They were wrong. The mobilization was complete. Humanity was ready. And the universe was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. Revenge would be precise. Revenge would be technological. Revenge would be utterly, completely human. The quantum tunnels opened silently, revealing humanity's first strike force. Commander Jae Park watched the holographic displays, his fingers moving with surgical precision across the tactical interface. Captain Hai Kim's squadron emerged from the dimensional breach, their spacecraft moving like liquid mercury through the star system. The Galactic Council's defense platforms detected their presence milliseconds too late. By then, humanity's technological superiority had already begun its devastating work. Targeted electromagnetic pulses disabled communication networks instantaneously. Entire defense grids collapsed before their controllers could even recognize the threat. Each human spacecraft carried weapons that were decades beyond anything the Galactic Council had encountered. Lieutenant Un Choi led the special intervention teams. Their first objective was surgical: destroy critical infrastructure with minimum civilian casualties. But their secondary directive was clear: make the Galactic Council understand the true meaning of consequence. Dr. Wu Jin's adaptive AI systems predicted and neutralized defensive responses before they could be implemented. Weapon systems adjusted in microseconds, finding and exploiting the smallest vulnerabilities in alien technologies. It was like watching a grandmaster play an impossible game of chess. The first wave of attacks targeted communication centers. Massive orbital stations that had coordinated the Valoran's destruction now became burning husks of twisted metal. Each destroyed platform sent a clear message. Humanity's reach was unlimited, its technological capability beyond comprehension. Admiral Sung Lee watched from the Central Command Center on Earth. His expression remained calm, but his eyes reflected a storm of calculated revenge. This was not just a military operation. This was a systematic dismantling of an entire political structure. Quantum encrypted transmissions prevented any meaningful communication between Galactic Council defense zones. Their own systems were turned against them. Communication became a weapon, information a destructive force more powerful than any physical weapon. Spacecraft moved through defensive lines like ghosts. Traditional radar, sensor systems, and tracking technologies became useless against humanity's advanced stealth capabilities. The human ships were not just invisible, they were mathematically impossible to detect. Strategic points fell within hours. Not through brute force, but through precision. Each strike was calculated, each movement predetermined by AI systems that learned and adapted faster than biological intelligence could comprehend. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical destruction. The Galactic Council had believed humanity was a young, inexperienced species. They were about to learn the most painful lesson in galactic history. Commander J. Park's voice remained calm during the entire operation. Target acquired. Proceeding with systematic elimination. Orbital defense platforms crumbled. Communication networks dissolved. Complex technological infrastructure that had taken centuries to build disappeared in moments. The human strike force moved with a cold, mathematical precision that was more terrifying than any emotional rage. Lieutenant Un Choi's intervention teams infiltrated key strategic points. They were not just soldiers, they were technological warriors who could disable entire systems with a single quantum encrypted command. Each team member carried technologies that could cripple entire planetary defense networks. Captain Hai Kim's tactical squadron demonstrated capabilities that redefined space warfare. Their spacecraft could predict and counter defensive maneuvers before they were even initiated. It was like watching a predator play with its prey, calculated, patient, absolutely devastating. By the time the first solar cycle completed, humanity had destroyed 73% of the Galactic Council's primary defense infrastructure. The strike was not just successful, it was a complete, total decimation that would be studied in military academies for generations. The first message was sent. Simple. Direct. Devastating. For the Valoran. The universe watched in stunned silence as humanity revealed its true potential. This was not just a first strike. This was a complete redefinition of interstellar conflict. And this was only the beginning. The total war transformed from a strategic operation to a complete systemic elimination of the Galactic Council's infrastructure. Commander J. Park's strategy moved beyond traditional military engagement. This was a technological dismantling of an entire civilization. Adaptive AI systems developed by Dr. Wu Jin became the primary weapon. These computational networks could predict and neutralize alien defensive strategies faster than biological intelligence could comprehend. Each microsecond brought new tactical advantages, turning warfare into a mathematical equation that humanity was solving with brutal efficiency. Lieutenant Un Choi's Special Intervention Forces moved across multiple star systems. They were no longer just soldiers, they were technological assassins who could disable entire planetary defense networks with a single quantum encrypted command. Their precision was terrifying, their capabilities beyond anything the Galactic Council had imagined possible. Captain Hai Kim's tactical squadrons demonstrated capabilities that rewrote the fundamental understanding of space warfare. Their spacecraft moved through defensive lines like quantum ghosts, predicting and countering defensive maneuvers before they could be initiated. It was a dance of technological superiority that left the Galactic Council completely paralyzed. The systematic destruction targeted not just military infrastructure, but economic and political systems. Communication networks collapsed. Trade routes were permanently disabled. The Galactic Council's centuries-old power structure crumbled within weeks. Admiral Sung Lee's famous transmission echoed across star systems, for the Valoran. For justice. Each attack was calculated with surgical precision. Humanity didn't just want to win, they wanted to ensure the Galactic Council would never pose a threat again. Research facilities were dismantled. Scientific complexes were completely erased. Strategic planetary resources were neutralized. The psychological warfare was as devastating as the physical destruction. Intercepted communications revealed the growing terror within the Galactic Council's leadership. They had believed humanity was a young, inexperienced species. Now they understood the true meaning of technological warfare. Dr. Wu Jin's team developed weapons that could disable entire planetary defense systems without causing unnecessary biological casualties. The goal was not complete extinction, it was complete neutralization. Humanity wanted to send a message, not commit the same atrocities they were avenging. Quantum tunneling technologies allowed human forces to strike multiple locations simultaneously. The Galactic Council's defensive strategies became obsolete within days. Their most advanced technologies were rendered useless against humanity's adaptive computational systems. Lieutenant Un Choi's training modules proved crucial. Soldiers were not just fighting, they were solving complex technological puzzles in real time. Each intervention team became a mobile technological weapon that could adapt and respond faster than traditional military units. Commander J. Park watched the systematic destruction with a calm that scared even his closest military advisors. This was not revenge. This was a calculated political and technological reset of galactic power structures. Massive space battles became rare. Humanity's strategy was more sophisticated: disable, neutralize, destroy. No dramatic explosions, no long drawn-out conflicts. Just precise, mathematical elimination of threat potential. The economic impact was immediate. Galactic Council trading routes collapsed. Their financial systems became completely unstable. Planets that had relied on their infrastructure suddenly found themselves isolated and vulnerable. Captain Hai Kim's tactical reports showed something unprecedented: they were defeating an entire civilization without deploying traditional ground forces. Technology had become the ultimate weapon, computational systems the new battleground. By the time the first galactic cycle completed, humanity had systematically dismantled 89% of the Galactic Council's critical infrastructure. What remained was not a defeated civilization, but a completely neutralized political and technological system. Admiral Sung Lee's final strategic assessment was simple and direct: complete mission objectives achieved. Technological superiority demonstrated. Message sent. The universe watched in stunned silence as humanity rewrote the rules of interstellar conflict. This was not just a war. This was a complete technological revolution that would change galactic dynamics forever. And humanity was just getting started. The final confrontation was less a battle and more a systematic elimination of remaining Galactic Council power structures. Commander J. Park stood on the central command deck, watching holographic displays that showed the complete dismantling of an entire civilization's infrastructure. Surviving Galactic Council leaders were gathered in a massive orbital tribunal. Each one wore the defeated expression of those who had completely underestimated humanity's capabilities. Dr. Wu Jin's advanced translation systems ensured every word of their trial would be documented, every moment of accountability preserved. Lieutenant Un Choi managed the security protocols. Her special intervention teams had transformed from warriors to historical documentarians. They collected evidence, preserved records, and ensured that the universe would understand exactly what happened to the Valoran and why humanity responded with such calculated precision. The trials revealed shocking details. The Galactic Council had planned the Valoran's extinction for decades. Complex diplomatic manipulations, secret resource extraction plans, systematic elimination of a peaceful civilization, all meticulously documented and now exposed to universal scrutiny. Captain Hai Kim oversaw the construction of memorial stations. Massive structures were built across recovered planetary systems, each one a testament to the Valoran's scientific achievements and peaceful nature. Holographic archives would preserve their history, ensuring their civilization would never be forgotten. Admiral Sun Lee drafted new interstellar protocols. These were not just military guidelines, but a complete reimagining of galactic diplomatic relationships. Provisions were added to prevent future genocides, with humanity positioned as the primary enforcement mechanism. Diplomatic teams worked around the clock. The message was clear: humanity would not become an oppressive force, but a balanced protector of interstellar peace. Every decision was carefully calculated to prevent future conflicts while ensuring no civilization could be systematically destroyed again. Technological research centers began sharing Valoran recovered technologies. Medical advancements, quantum computational systems, and sustainable energy technologies that the Valoran had developed were now freely distributed across human-controlled star systems. The economic transformation was immediate. Trade routes were restructured. New diplomatic channels were established. Planets that had been under Galactic Council control now found themselves with unprecedented freedom and technological support. Commander Jade Park's final strategic assessment was simple. "We did not just win a war," he told his senior staff. "We fundamentally restructured galactic political dynamics." Research facilities that had been converted to war efforts now returned to peaceful scientific exploration. But the technologies developed during the conflict remained a constant reminder of humanity's technological capabilities. Dr. Wu Jin's teams began developing cooperative research programs. Alien civilizations were invited to participate in joint scientific endeavors, creating a new model of interstellar collaboration that was based on mutual respect and technological exchange. Lieutenant Un Choi's intervention teams were transformed into diplomatic liaison units. Their deep understanding of technological warfare now became a tool for preventing future conflicts. They traveled across star systems, teaching and learning, bridging cultural gaps. Memorial ceremonies were conducted across human-controlled space. Not just to remember the Valoran, but to ensure such a tragedy could never happen again. Holographic displays in every major city showed the history of their civilization, their achievements, their peaceful nature. The universe had changed. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, inexperienced species. They were now the guardians of interstellar peace, a technological force that could protect and preserve when necessary. Captain Hai Kim summarized it best during a diplomatic conference: "We did not seek revenge. We sought justice. And justice means ensuring no civilization can ever be systematically destroyed again." The Valoran's legacy became humanity's most powerful weapon, not destruction, but the ability to prevent destruction. Their memory would be preserved, their scientific achievements celebrated, their peaceful nature honored. A new era of galactic relationships had begun. And humanity stood at its center, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The transformation was complete.